I'm now going to lay the siding point in position. This time we use insulating connectors for one very important reason, that if you have engines parked in the point and the sidings, and if you do not isolate the track, it will run out on the track with the other engines. By putting insulating connectors in it, it allows you to put a separate power feed to each siding and a separate switch to each siding, which allows you to isolate and stop the train. This will make shunting in the long term a lot simpler process. You could have two engines parked in the track and have one running there, and you can exchange engines by using that switching system. I will explain the switching system later in the program. In the meantime, we're going to connect this with the isolating sleepers, and as again you see, we need to trim the side of the point to allow it to connect with the Stanley knife. It doesn't need a lot, it just takes a little nick and you should be fine to go. When you bend the track, you'll notice that the two ends of the track on the curve are not even. I highly recommend that you do not try and join the next section of track with a staggered joint. You need to cut this position of the track square with the other one once you've nailed it in place. I will demonstrate that shortly. You can see that the curve of the track has a reasonable constant radius curve on it. You can see from this image that the 2 points of the track are not even. I have to now cut that across there evenly so we can join the new piece of track. You can now see with the use of the grinder, I have to cut the track square, ready to join on the new section. I will show you that shortly. Another technique I like to use before I complete nailing off the curved radius is get a carriage that will be on my tracks and do a test run to see how it performs on the radius. If it runs through fairly smoothly, you'll know that you've got the radius is pretty well on the money. I'll just show you that again. With a simple push, the carriage runs through very, very easily. And even at the speed that was running, it didn't come off the track. So it just shows the curve is pretty well a very constant, even curve. You can notice there was no deviation with the carriage. I'll try that again. This time I'll put a stopper at the other end so it doesn't crash off the table. Just another little tip. You can also see the joint here, where I made the joint, is very little noticeable when it's done completely, when it's done properly. I think that was a successful test, don't you? Something else I find extremely important, when you're joining the two joint tracks together, I put 4 nails in, as you can see, either side of the joint, especially on a radius. It stops the joint putting a kink into it, and it's a lot more secure way to fix the track. Now that I'm happy with the curve and I've run the carriage around the track, I will now nail it off. I generally find I like to put the nails in the outside radius first, which holds it in place, and then to finish off drill the opposing sleeper on the inside radius. Hi, back again. We're on the other side of the table now, and it's sometimes a good suggestion to lay another set of points on the other side of the track that allows you to change tracks on the opposite side of the table, which gives you the option then of shunting engines on the other part of the table. We've laid the curvature around to this point. Now we're about ready to join the new set of points, again with the connector in the middle with an insulating point. The track's starting to take shape, as you can see. Where my finger is pointing is a joint in the track. As you can see, it is very, very hard to notice where the two tracks are joined. If you can achieve this, it's a very good track laying job. Hi, back again. I'm going to try and show you the technique about cutting the lugs off the sleepers at the end of the track. I obviously didn't show this very well before. We're going to try it again. Simply run the sealing knife, holding the track underneath which takes the little lug off by itself. You can see that then when you've done that, you have a little piece of plastic that looks like that. Do the other side as well. When you've done it, you can see the Stanley knife then goes underneath the track between the sleeper and the track. That's what you're trying to achieve to allow the joiner to go in there. The next part of our project is the control panel. This is a position where I'm going to mount all the switch controls, the point motor controls and the train controls. For this particular job, it requires a panel approximately this size. When I lift the panel up, you will see underneath I have marked out the area that I have to cut the hole through the table. Consideration of this is that it's important that if you have to do these sort of jobs, you cut the holes out prior to laying the track. That way you've got less chance of damaging this track when you're trying to cut this hole out. I will show you the procedure on cutting the hole out shortly. I'm now going to demonstrate the procedure for cutting out the hole of the table. What you need to consider sometimes that you might change your trading table in the long term and you might want to replace this piece of panel that you're cutting out. So what I do is mark a corner with a felt pen or something that you know which way the position fits back into the table. Using about a 1/4 inch drill, starting in the corner of where you're cutting out, you drill a hole straight through the table. You drill this in each 4 corners. You then have to drill a set of holes in a line preferably two. You've now created a slot for the jigsaw blade with the machine to cut out the area. We're now ready to cut out the hole in the table. Again, remember, this is a power tool. Put your earmuffs on. Very carefully put the saw blade through the hole you've drilled in the table and start cutting along the inside of the hole. Always stop the machine before you take it out of the table. There's one cut that I've done. I'll now finish off the cuts and then show you the finished product. I've drilled another hole in this corner to change the direction of the cut. One more to go. When I've cut this piece, the panel should drop through the middle of the table. You can now see the result of the cut we've made a hole through the table to put the panel in. The piece of aluminium that I showed you prior to this will have a clearance about 15mm to screw down to over the hole. The next important thing is when you've cut the holes in the table, unfortunately power saws and tools make a lot of dust. One of the best ways to clean the dust up before you start is with a vacuum cleaner.